Tashdile and welcome to Tibet this week. This is Sakina Bhatt with another edition of Weekly News on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration. Let's look at the headlines first. His Holiness the Dalai Lama graces the 25th founding anniversary of Kirti Monastery. His Holiness the Dalai Lama launches Dalai Lama Chair for Nalanda Studies at Goa University. Tibetans celebrate the iconic Nobel Peace Prize conferment to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. 32nd meeting of Task Force on Sino-Tibetan Dialogue begins. Youth ambassadors launch 550 website. Team Tibet at COP25 highlights Tibet's ecological importance. 1.2 million Swiss franc pledged by Swiss and European Tibetans as investment in Ganjong Development Finance. Tibetans march for human rights on International Human Rights Day. Swiss Parliamentary Group for Tibet chalks out action plan for Tibet. His Holiness the Dalai Lama graces the 25th founding anniversary of Kirti Monastery. Religious participants from over 102 Buddhist religious institutions attended the event in Dharamshala on Saturday last week. Addressing the crowd, His Holiness remarked that only Nalanda tradition-inspired Buddhism is compatible with science and is competent to work together with modern scientific knowledge. On Wednesday this week, His Holiness the Dalai Lama launched Dalai Lama Chair for Nalanda Studies at Goa University and addressed students and faculties of Goa University on relevance of ancient Nalanda teachings in our modern times. Vice Chancellor of Goa University, Professor Varun Sani, in his welcome address noted the 10th of December as a very special day.
The Dalai Lama Chair in Nalanda Studies will focus on the study of wisdom or sutra and method or practice, aspects of an ancient tradition under the umbrella of a modern Indian university. Apart from didactic study,
Tibetans across the globe celebrated the 30th anniversary of conferment of Nobel Peace Prize upon His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Celebrating the momentous occasion, Tibetans gathered at Suglakhang in Dharamshala to enjoy the traditional performances by the Tibetan students and the artists of Tibetan Institute of Performing Arts. The chief guest of the official event, Sri Gyalpi Wangel, Chief Executive Councillor of Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council, extolled His Holiness's humanitarian service.
His Holiness the Dalai Lama has not only guided the humanity of this universe onto path of non-violence and peace, but has also transformed the nature of Tibetan freedom movement into a total non-violent endeavor.
In observing the gratitude of Tibetan people to His Holiness, the President of Central Tibetan Administration, Dr. Lobsang Singye, ascribed the year 2020 as the Thank You Dalai Lama year.
His Holiness has steadily undertaken the commitment to emphasize the importance of inculcating compassion, tolerance, and kindness to achieve peace and harmony among all human beings. While stressing the importance of religious harmony, he has advocated dialogue as a means to resolve any conflict.
Speaker of Tibetan Parliament in Exile, Pema Jungne, amplified the unparalleled contribution of His Holiness in the promotion of basic human values, religious harmony, the oneness of humanity, and moreover, his unflinching dedication in opposing the use of violence. The United States Congressman Ben McAdam, Congressman Chris Stewart, and a representative of Senator Mitt Romney read out congratulatory messages to His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan community on behalf of the members of the Congress at the celebration of the day in Utah. This auspicious day was even marked in the Canadian Parliament. Members of the Parliament Arif Virani and Bhutila Karpoche congratulated His Holiness the Dalai Lama and spoke about the grave situation of Tibetans in Tibet.
I rise in the House today as a proud Tibetan Canadian to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the conferment of the Nobel Peace Prize to His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. This honor was bestowed to His Holiness on December 10th, International Human Rights Day, for, quote, the struggle for the liberation of Tibet and the efforts for a peaceful resolution instead of using violence, end quote. Speaker, Tibetans continue to seek freedom and human rights through nonviolence. However, the situation in Tibet is worsening, and there are ongoing human rights abuses by the Chinese government.
I was humbled to meet with the Dalai Lama in 2018 in India. What I will always recollect from that meeting was his wisdom, his kindness, and most of all, his dedication to the Tibetan people and his promotion of the middle way approach. To our honorary Canadian citizen, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, I simply say thank you. Gadanche Kang Sachok, for all you have done, not just for the Tibetan people, but for the global community in promoting the cause of peace and pluralism internationally. Tujiche.
CTA hosted a gala reception in honor of the visiting delegation of the Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council and 17-member Israeli-Palestinian delegates on Monday this week. The delegates were treated to a wide range of Tibetan performing arts representing the distinguished cultural, social and spiritual aspects of the Tibetan civilization. The artists of Tipa presented a number of Tibetan folk dance. The delegation also visited the Tibetan Parliament in Exile and the offices of the Central Tibetan Administration. The 32nd session of the Tibetan Task Force on Negotiations began in Dharamshala at the headquarters of the Central Tibetan Administration on Wednesday this week. The two-day meeting of Task Force on Negotiations was presided by President Dr. Lobsang Singye. The task force held an in-depth discussion on the situation inside Tibet, the shifts in the global political landscape and the overall prospects for the resumption of dialogue between Dharamshala and Beijing to resolve the issue of Tibet. Dedicated to the 550 vision, the participants of 2nd 550 Youth Forum launched 550 website and a shared platform for 550 Youth Forum's participants on River, a collaborative digital tool. The launch took place through a press conference facilitated by the Department of Information and International Relations of Central Tibetan Administration on Wednesday this week. The website is accessible in both English and Tibetan.
And the most important aspect of the website is our action page. Our action page will highlight the works done by participants of 550 Youth Leadership. We have divided the action into different regions, and we have shown what actions are being implemented at the moment, what has already been implemented in these regions. River is a digital tool collaboration. It's a digital collaboration tool. The reason why we chose River is that it is a very unique application in which you can do different set of tools, activities at the same time. So it'll help you manage tasks, help you assign tasks. It's a really good communication skill, a tool. You can have voice calling, video calling, and you can also have screen sharing.
A strong team of Tibetan delegates highlights Tibet's ecological importance at the COP25 United Nations Climate Summit, which is currently being held in Madrid, Spain. The two environment researchers from Tibet Policy Institute, Tempa Genze and Dishan Palmo, leading the Team Tibet, has been able to meet official delegates from more than 25 countries so far to personally apprise them of Tibet's global ecological importance and urged the delegates to make Tibet central to any discussion on global climate change. Let's hear what our environmental researcher Dishan Palmo has to say about the campaign.
We are here at COP25 UN Climate Summit to raise Tibetan climatic issues. And over here we have done many activities. First one, we have met around 30 delegations from different parts of the world. Second, we had a very good panel discussion over there. There were around 150 people who have come to listen to us. And then third, we have a climate talk running around the cities and having the message of His Holiness on the protection of Tibet environment. And the fourth, we have a talk at the universities. And then fifth, we have a media interview. And then sixth, we have a climate strike. Over there, we have participated along with the many Tibetan Buddhist centers. And seventh one, we have given an interview and we have talked with the MPs, meeting with the MPs and the politicians from Spain.
The mega climate conference organized by the United Nations has attracted more than 20,000 experts, climate and environmental activists, government delegates and civil society groups. 1.2 million Swiss franc was pledged by Swiss and European Tibetans as investment in Ganjong Development Finance. a senior CTA delegation completed a successful tour into promoting and raising capital for Ganjong development finance from Tibetan communities residing in Switzerland and Liechtenstein, Austria, Germany, France, and the Netherlands from the 15th November to 2nd December. The mission of Tibettv is to provide affordable capital, financial service, and financial literacy to Tibetan entrepreneurs and promote Tibetan micro, small, and medium enterprises. Tibetans in Japan and Switzerland took part in a peace march on the Human Rights Day to highlight the dismal human rights situation in China-occupied Tibet. Tens of thousands of locals and tourists in Asakusa area in Tokyo watched as the protesters marched on raising slogans against China's human rights violations in Tibet, East Turkestan, and southern Mongolia. Around 500 Tibetans participated in the march that began from the office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights and culminated at the headquarters of the United Nations in Geneva. The Swiss Parliamentary Group for Tibet convened a meeting to enhance support for Tibet on the sidelines of the ongoing 3-week winter session of the Swiss Parliament in Bern. The members of Parliamentarian Group for Tibet gathered to discuss range of issues including middle way approach, China's interference in the centuries-old Tibetan Buddhist practice of reincarnation, China's long-arm surveillance, reciprocal access to Tibet, among others that called for the parliamentary group's intervention in bringing forth the issues to the federal government's attention and necessary actions. So much for today. See you next time and have a great weekend.